The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
WZWA Sports. It's in the game.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're back with your boy Hogsley. Got a bit more energy this time around because today I am reviewing UFC 292. And I don't even know if I wanted to admit it myself, but doing all these reviews, I'm starting to become a bit of a fan of the UFC. I've always said I'm a boxing boy, but these cards just keep getting better and better. I don't know if I'm just understanding it more or just enjoying it more because I've watched more, but some of these fights have been crackers. And another great card to break down here today at UFC 292. As always, I'm going to break it down chronologically. So let's start off with Vera versus Munoz. And what a cracking fight to kick off this card. I love a good stand-up game, and that's what this fight was to a T. An absolute war of just volume and ferocity from both Vera and Munoz. Let me paint the picture for you. This was just the battle of the leg kicks. Munoz was just peppering Vera's legs throughout the entire fight. His engine, his stamina, his speed, the volume which he was firing out these punches was insane. I know when you get to these lower weights, which these guys were at bantamweight, you see more of this. But it was honestly just, man, I throw 3 kicks and I'm fucking like gasping for air. He was throwing spinning roundhouses and question mark kicks and flying out the leg kicks like it was nothing. And Vera, I mean, this was, what's that saying? The unstoppable force versus the immovable object. That's kind of what this fight was from both sides. Both could be that force or object. Munoz had never been knocked out or stopped or submitted or just finished. And Vera was known for finishing. So it's like this guy's never been finished versus this guy who's a known finisher. But the known finisher, you couldn't stop him, okay? He was both that unstoppable force and the immovable object. Because for all that volume I was seeing from Munoz, Vera just kept eating it like it was nothing. At the end of the fight, you would have not known Vera had been in a fight. Meanwhile, Munoz, he didn't get stopped, but he got busted up something fierce. Vera has got a great level of boxing skill. This was good boxing. I mean, it's still not a boxing, level of boxing, if that makes sense. I'm sure if he went up there with some of the better boxers in bantamweight, he would just get smoked. But in the UFC, having to focus on so much more, this was great stand-up boxing skill from Vera. That jab was an absolute piston. It was accurate, it was hard, it was fast, and it was absolutely just busting up Munoz. And to be honest, that's what wins Vera this unanimous decision. I think it's closer than what a unanimous decision makes you believe. And I've touched on this. You've got 3 rounds to score. You win 2 of these rounds. You've won the fight. I mean, 2/3 is over 50%. I get that, but it's just hard because some of these, especially the first round, I believe Munoz wins. And the second round was fucking tight as. That was close. You don't get many closer rounds than that. And in the third round, Vera absolutely dominates Munoz. Okay. But that's still going to be Munoz's fight just as much as it could have been Vera's fight. But if you're going to score it on who looks worse or where at the end of the fight, I'm not upset with Vera picking up this unanimous decision. But look, let me lay it down how razor thin this fight was between the two of them. So total strikes for Vera, he had 141 out of 251 for 56.2%. I'm just noticing that now. God damn, everyone. Over half your punches are landing or strikes. That's insane. But Munoz is no scrub. 113 to 246 for 45.9%. This was an absolute stand-up war, everyone. When you're throwing almost 100 strikes around, that's great. That's great action. And then in significant strikes, there's 114 to 251 for another 56.2%. I don't understand this. I thought he was throwing the jab. What are these significant strike stats? I think these stats are wrong. Someone's bugging it up on the old Google, which is what I describe these stats from. So that's just the total strikes again, because obviously not every strike's a significant strike. Unless it is, I believe the jab isn't. Whatever. Moving on. So, look, like I said, just razor thin, an absolute entertaining cracker of a fight. What I love to see, even though I'm becoming this UFC fan, as a boxing boy, I love to see it. But you go from this great stand-up game, we move on to the second fight, Blackshear versus Batista. And this is like the complete opposite. It's like a flip of the coin. This was just straight up grappling, and it was just as entertaining. To start off, I want to give a huge amount of props to Blackshear. He only fought 7 days ago, and he's back in the ring in the main event, and I think he was a late substitution. I mean, fuck it, the 7-day turnaround, that was common maybe back in the 50s with Sugar Ray Robinson versus Jake LaMotta. That era, you'd turn around in 2 days and fight someone else, but in this modern era, that's not really heard of, not that often anyway. So props to Blackshear. That's just, I love it. I love to see a fighter who just loves to fight. And I think maybe the 7 days rest does play a bit of a role into how this fight played out, because I thought Blackshear was, especially in round 1, and I think round 2 as well, was outworking Batista. He was getting into the grapple more often. He was looking for submissions. He was doing some funky things in the grapple. Apparently, he's one of 3 people to ever submit someone with a twister. So he's definitely creative and, just isn't just a rear naked choke or, a standard armbar. He obviously is willing to try lots of different things once he's on the ground, once he's in the grapple. And I think that can confuse a lot of opponents, because there are lots of submissions you can go to, and you can't really train against all of them or defend against all of them. I mean, you're probably going to be trying to select a few to focus on and defend against that. So when you've got such a deep bag that you can pull out the twister, I mean, that's talent in my eyes, so I thought it was good. But that all being said, it wasn't good. The judges scoring, what a load of fucking ass that was. Okay? I try not to swear on these monetization issues and all that. But what a load of horseshit. Oh my goodness. Apparently, one judge gave all 3 rounds to Batista. I do not agree with that at all. No way does a Blackshear lose that first round, in my opinion. I believe the first round anyway. I just couldn't believe it. I actually think Blackshear won the fight. To be quite honest with you, I think it should have been his unanimous decision. So, I'll run down the stats. Once again, it's razor thin. I'm not saying he dominated Batista, but I think he definitely did enough to win this fight. He had 108 and 192 for Blackshear in total strikes, for another 56.3%. Man, defense just doesn't exist in these UFC fights. To 102 for 106 out of 161 for 63.4%. 2/3 of your shots are landing. God damn. But 90 to 174 to 79 out of 137. So once again, more punches, more significant strikes going to Blackshear. 4 out of 7 takedowns, so 2 out of 10. He had the takedown defense. He landed more takedowns. I just don't understand it. That might just be a straight up highway robbery, in my opinion. Okay, it could be close, and it could be no. Reading those stats, I'm sorry. Blackshear was a legitimate winner of that fight in my eyes. Okay, If you think I'm wrong, please comment below. I'd love to discuss it. So I think we're flying through this. Love that. We move on to the third fight. Magny versus Gary. Now, this Ian Gary. Ooh. He might be something a little special, everyone, okay? I know he's a young, hyped prospect. This was meant to be the biggest challenge of his career, versing someone with almost 30 wins as a pro fighter. And I think he's got the most wins in the division of all time. I mean, he's seen them all. A 28-12 record, that's 40 professional fights. That's kind of a lot for MMA, I believe, especially at that kind of level. You know, you've got those, especially in boxing, journeymen who've got like 30 and 151 losses or something. And it's like, Jesus Christ, 181 fights. How are you not dead? But obviously, this Gary has got a bit of a hype train behind him, and I totally see it. I mean, he didn't show us a full package for an MMA fighter, only because he didn't need to. Okay. He may have the worst grappling game in the world. I wouldn't know, because he didn't need to use any of that tonight. He absolutely demolished, dominated, just absolutely blitzed through Magny like he was nothing, like I was in the ring, okay? Because I would probably put up as much fight as Magny did against this Ian Gary, okay? The first strike of the night was a leg strike that Magny crumpled from. He may have been off balance, may have been throwing his own kick, but it knocked him down. The first bloody kick, okay? And the second bloody leg kick knocked him down again. Absolutely insane. How is that happening? How do you get 2 knockdowns from 2 bloody kicks in the first 10 seconds of a fight? And God, there must have been some animosity between these two. Some words must have been shared, because Gary was like, nah, son. I ain't hopping down there and finishing the fight. I'm going to punish you some more. So you get back up here so I can knock you back down again. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to flip you the bloody bird at least 3 times, because that's exactly what Ian Gary did. He had no love loss for Magny at all. He straight up despised him from what I saw. It was just violent, ferocious, just animosity. And I loved it. I love it. Just, talk about being the heel. Talk about just backing up your words. This is what this kid was doing, okay? And at 25, he ain't even hit his prime yet. And he just demolished someone that was meant to be a challenge. Like I said, these leg kicks, they became the story of the night. And I'm surprised the ref didn't stop it from these leg kicks. I thought Magny's shin had shattered in 5 different pieces, right? It was, if you go back and watch these highlights, from about round 2 onwards, every time Gary lands one of these leg kicks, Magny is wincing in pain, he's grimacing, he's grabbing his leg like he's just lost it to a bloody shark attack. He couldn't put any weight on it at times. I mean, credit to Magny for trying to fight through, but you weren't doing anything. I don't think he threw a punch in round 3. And look, every time he went down up until like the final couple of seconds of the fight, Gary was like, you come back up here, mate. I'm not finished with you. Oh, geez. And look, let me give you the scorecards just to show how one-sided this was, how much of a domination this was. We had 30-26 and 30-24. 30-24. So I think that's 3 10-8 rounds. 3 of them. They thought every round was a 10-8 round. And fuck me, man, that is absolute. You don't get a more dominating performance than that. Oh, and look, let me give you the stats to this one. So Magny lands 51 out of 93. That's good percentage, 54%. I think that's becoming current theme. Maybe 50% is the average. But you had 111 out of 171. And then significant strikes, and this is the thing that matters. You had 27 out of 66 to 91 out of 150. And then you had the 2 takedowns from Ian Gary. I don't even remember the takedowns. I can't remember him taking him down. All I remember was just him shattering that leg, that front leg. And look, this is why you've got to be able to fight off from both stances in the MMA. Okay, you don't need to worry about that in boxing as much. No one's attacking your lead leg. But when your lead leg is dead and you're still trying to fight out of the orthodox stance, you can't do anything. So it does pay to be somewhat ambidextrous. Right, so the meat and potatoes are co-main event and our main event. Now, I said this was an entertaining card, and it was, but this co-main event, boring. I'm sorry. I mean, I can love it for the absolute domination that Zhang Weili put on. But Lemos did not belong in the same ring as her. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think she was a 5th ranked competitor. Maybe that was the only one available, but she was just leagues and leagues and leagues below how great Zhang is as a fighter. Okay. This was, I mean, if the Gary fight was domination, this was genocide at times. Okay. This was just, I can't even understand how some of these stats had happened. Okay. At one point in round 1, it was 63 landed strikes to 1 landed strike. I think that's right. Or was it thrown strikes? No, it was landed. 63 strikes to 1 strike. My God, how does that happen? How do you take 63 punches in a round and still stand up? I have no idea. But God, Lemos was just in survival mode, basically at all times, except for a couple of really entertaining points where it looked like Zhang got a bit over aggressive, thinking I'm just having my way with this woman. And she almost gets tapped out by some sort of chokehold. I don't know if it's a guillotine, maybe in the guillotine. Yeah, Lemos just catches her coming in and just wraps that arm around her. And listen, that got around the chin. If that was an inch lower around the neck, we'd have a new world champion. But unfortunately for Lemos, she couldn't quite lock it in. I think she had 2 attempts at it at the fight. At both times, just catching Zhang almost seemingly out of nowhere. But really, that's all she bloody offered to this entire fight. Because, I mean, Zhang, she is special. Oh, I mean, I haven't seen enough of her fights. Maybe this the level of competition just made her look so great. But god damn, not only was she just throwing out these accurate strikes at all times, she was throwing them whenever she could, at any point, just being creative with it. At one point, I think it's during one of the submission attempts, Lemos has kind of got her on his side, but got her back towards Zhang, and Zhang just starts throwing out these like knees to the straight to the back of Lemos. I mean, I don't know if those are counter scoring strikes or what, just attacking someone in the back, but you've got to get your offense in any way you can. I mean, going back to boxing, a punch to the arms doesn't count as a landed strike, but you punch someone in the arms enough time, those arms are going to feel heavy, and they're not going to be able to guard anymore. I mean, punishment is punishment, no matter how you slice the cake, everyone. I mean, she was just like, it was knees to the back. She was landing like little axe kicks to Lemos's thighs, elbows to the arms. She was doing everything she possibly could to just break Lemos down, just punish her at all times. There was no reprieve for Lemos. At any, like, you think you were safe shelling up? No. You think you were safe, like, almost landing submission? No. Zhang is a beast, everyone. An absolute beast. There is no other way to say it. I mean, well, look, I've got some more stats here. 125 strikes to 4 to start round 3. 125 strikes to 4. I mean, far out, guys. By the start of round 3, Zhang had landed 123 to 4 strikes. You've landed 4 punches in like over 10 minutes. How are you in the same ring? How are you meant to be at the same level as this woman? Absolutely incredible. But look, this, you know what? It wasn't just the strikes. I mean, Lemos was meant to have a great takedown defense going into this fight, something like 80+%. And look, I've got my stats here. 6 out of 7 takedowns for Zhang. She just dominated in every sense of the word. I cannot get enough of this woman. Whoa. Beast, 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 beast. I mean, look, the judges biffed it up earlier in the night, and I think, not that it matters too much, but they had another biff here. A big biff. One judge gave it 49-45. What round did they think Lemos won? I need to check the official scorecards. Maybe they thought she wins the first round because she almost tapped her out. I don't see it. Not when you've got these stats. And look, I'm going to give you the total fight stats because you're not going to believe it. You're going to have to Google this yourself, but you're going to say, Hogsley, you're saying these numbers, but you're just yanking my chain, mate. These numbers didn't happen. You're just pulling the wool over our eyes or whatever you want to say. But you go look this up yourself because it is insane, okay? By the end of the fight, it was 296 out of 358 landed strikes for Zhang for an 82.7%. 8 out of 10 strikes were landing compared to 29 out of 68. Across 5 rounds, she's landed 29 strikes and only thrown 68. She is throwing, what's that? 15, 13 a round. In 5-minute rounds, she's throwing like 13 odd punches. That doesn't cut it, okay? That does not cut it. Significant strikes, 163 out of 217 for a 75% to 24 out of 63. I mean, once again, most of your strikes, Lemos, they were significant, but there was not enough of them. Oh, God, no. And then you had the 2 submission attempts. Look, I can't talk too much more about that. That was just absolutely incredible dominance by Zhang. Right, so we do move on to the main event. Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. Now, I've not been watching these fights for too long, these UFC events. But apparently Sean O'Malley's this big hype train that's just picking up steam, keeping going. And the UFC clearly like placing their lips around this guy's member. They like placing their butthole right on his member because the dick riding is real. Sean O'Malley picks up this TKO victory, and UFC had the had the highlights up for his fight, the knockout, up within like 10 seconds. They want this kid to be big, okay? And Aljamain Sterling was meant to be like, you're a hype job, I'm going to fucking end this hype train right now. But maybe that hype is real, everyone, because there wasn't a lot to draw from. A lot of people give him the comparison to McGregor versus Aldo, okay? And you can see a lot of it in this fight, other than the fact that McGregor fight lasted, 15 seconds? Because Sugar Sean O'Malley, right? The first round was, I couldn't really score it. It was just kind of one of those feel-out rounds for both fighters, in my opinion, Nothing too significant either way. But then, I think it was 50 seconds into the second round, Sterling comes in, throwing a punch, and it was just a beautiful counter by Sugar Sean O'Malley. Sort of just ducks out of the way and comes in with a right hand, clipping Sterling and sending him to another realm of existence, everyone. And that's all she wrote. There isn't too much to tell you about this because it just completely flattened Sterling. And that was it. Look at the stats. 24 out of 46 punches for Sterling to 26 out of 36 for Sugar Sean. Okay? There was just nothing. There wasn't a lot going on until that one just lightning in a bottle kind of shot that just, no matter who you're fighting, you land a shot like that, they are gone, right? They ain't waking up, right, for another 5-10 minutes. Well, that's not quite true. But you got a point, right? So the hype's real, everyone. You can't deny it. This kid, his dream was to be a world champion, and now he is. Okay, I don't know what's next for this kid. Every obstacle that's been put in his way, he has taken it down, and he's looked pretty good doing it. So we'll have to see what's next for him. I'd love to see a fight that maybe pushes him the distance a bit more. I could say that about lots of fights, but you know what I mean. I mean, how does a rematch play out? Did he just get caught cold? Was it a lucky shot by O'Malley to Sterling? I mean, I'd be interested to see the rematch. I think this still could be a more competitive fight than what we saw. But you let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you say. Last little notes on the show. Did anyone see how Bruce Buffer was dressed? Because he straight up looked like a Christmas tree. Okay, it was like a red suit with green lines that lit up. That was just weird. But you know what? I've never noticed this before. But Bruce Buffer really gets in the face of other fighters as he's introducing, where he's like, fighting out of North Carolina. He's like that far away from their face. That made me feel weird. I'd feel more like, ew, like, can you just give me some personal space, mate, instead of spitting all over me and like breathing on me? I don't know. That's my personal opinion anyway. So look, that's been my review of UFC 292. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and I will see you down the road.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.